A dangerous new stage is unfolding in the widening confrontation between Iran and Israel, with Tehran signaling that it is expanding both the scale and the technology of its strikes, while Israel says it is nearing a defining moment in its campaign. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced what it described as a significant shift in its missile operations, claiming it had launched missiles using twin launch systems for the first time. The IRG framed the move as a turning point in its retaliation, saying the new method effectively doubles its strike capacity by enabling paired launches. The claim, if accurate, would suggest not just more missiles in the air, but a tactical adjustment designed to complicate interception and overwhelm defenses. The IRGC said it hit more than 30 targets across central and southern Israel, naming major population centers including Tel Aviv, Rishon LeZion, Petah Tikva, and Beersheba. The group also claimed it used a precision ballistic missile it called the Kabar Shechan, describing it as designed for high-accuracy strikes on strategic sites. Israel has not publicly confirmed the specific missile type cited in the statement, and independent verification of the weapon system and the scope of damage would be essential given the stakes and the long history of information warfare around major escalations. Still, the broader message from Tehran was unambiguous. Iran is warning that heavier attacks are coming, and it is explicitly threatening to widen the target set beyond what it portrays as strictly military objectives. In its messaging, the IRGC said industrial sites, infrastructure, and military centers would be next, language that raises immediate alarm across the region because it blurs the line between military targets and the civilian systems that keep a country functioning. In a direct warning, the IRGC urged civilians in Israeli areas to leave. Evacuation warnings in conflict zones can be used as a signal of imminent strikes, but they can also serve a psychological purpose, sowing fear, triggering displacement, and amplifying the perception of vulnerability. Either way, the warning underscores the degree to which this confrontation is now being framed as a sustained campaign rather than a limited exchange. Iranian state-linked messaging described the development in technical terms through the IRGC's Aerospace Command. The transcript attributes comments to Sayed Majid Musavi, described as the head of the IRG Aerospace Force, saying this marks the beginning of a new phase of the conflict with twin launchers for Fateh and Karakhan missiles and double the strike power. The mention of Fateh aligns with a known family of Iranian short-range ballistic missiles, though the transcript's other missile naming is unclear and would require careful verification against established defense reporting and official statements. In a separate statement, the IRGC announced what it called Wave 99 of Operation True Promise 4, reiterating a familiar line aimed at shaping international perception of Iran's intent and rules of engagement. The statement included the claim that Iran does not target civilians, language that is often used by parties to a conflict to justify operations and preempt condemnation, even as the effects of strikes may be felt far beyond military installations. Against that backdrop, Israel's military leadership is also signaling a pivotal moment. The transcript quotes Israel's chief of the general staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, describing Israel as nearing a turning point in the campaign. Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir approaching a strategic crossroads in the joint campaign against Iran. So far, we have achieved significant accomplishments also in relation to the objectives we set when launching the operation. We will continue to act with determination and deepen the blows to the regime. The statement suggests Israel believes it has made measurable progress toward its operational aims and intends to intensify pressure. The phrase strategic crossroads is often used by military leaders to indicate that decisions taken next may shape the trajectory of the conflict, whether it expands, narrows, or evolves into a longer war of attrition. On the operational front, the transcript describes Israeli airstrikes inside Iran targeting transportation infrastructure. Citing a report attributed to the Times of Israel, it says Israeli forces bombed around 10 key rail sections and bridges. The reported strikes were preceded by an Israeli warning to civilians posted on X telling Iranians to stay away from trains until the evening. The rationale, according to security officials cited in the report, was that the IRG had used rail lines and highway bridges to move weapons and military supplies. If confirmed, targeting transport corridors would mark a deliberate attempt to disrupt logistics and degrade Iran's ability to move material quickly across the country. Such strikes can also have significant civilian consequences, including economic disruption, supply chain delays, and risks to passenger travel, especially in a country where rail and road networks are essential for commerce and daily life. The transcript also says Israel has warned it may strike Iranian national infrastructure to impose economic damage on the regime, a posture that would further elevate concerns about the conflict spillover into civilian life. As both sides signal escalation, new weapons, new tactics, and border threats, the conflict is entering a phase where miscalculation becomes more likely. When leaders publicly commit to deepen the blows or promise heavier attacks, the space for de-escalation narrows and the incentives shift toward demonstrating resolve. That dynamic is particularly dangerous in a region where multiple militaries operate in close proximity and where external powers maintain bases and alliances that can quickly pull them into the line of fire. One of the most consequential elements in the transcript is the claim that Iran has expanded its operations to include U.S. military installations in the Gulf. The transcript attributes to an outlet it calls Al Jazeera a report that the Iranian army claimed it targeted the U.S. military's Al-Hajj base in Saudi Arabia and the Al-Adiyari base in Kuwait using Arash-2 drones. The naming of these bases and the details of the alleged attack would need careful verification. The United States maintains a significant military presence across the Gulf region, including in Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and elsewhere, and any confirmed strike on U.S. forces would represent a major escalation with potentially far-reaching consequences. The transcript says Iran framed these alleged strikes as a response to what it portrays as regional states allowing their territory to be used in attacks on Iranian soil. That aligns with a long-standing Iranian position that neighboring countries hosting U.S. forces or facilitating operations could be treated as complicit. Tehran has repeatedly warned Gulf states against allowing their territory or airspace to be used for attacks, and such warnings often intensify during periods of heightened tension. In the transcript, Iran's foreign minister is identified as Sayed Abbas Araki, described as making the point in a phone call with his Qatari counterpart. The states have a legal responsibility to prevent their territories from being used as platforms for aggression. Araki is a senior Iranian diplomat known for his role in nuclear negotiations. The specifics of his portfolio and the exact content of any call would need confirmation through official readouts from Tehran or Doha. But the diplomatic message described pressuring neighbors to keep distance from any U.S. or Israeli military action fits a recognizable pattern of Iranian regional diplomacy during crises. Qatar, in particular, is often central to these calculations because it hosts Al Udeid Air Base, a major U.S. military hub in the Middle East. The transcript claims Doha has faced attacks from Iranian forces since the start of the war last month, another assertion that would require verification given the gravity of such a development. Any direct attack on Qatar would risk triggering a wider regional crisis, not only because of the U.S. presence, but because of Qatar's role as a mediator in multiple regional conflicts. Alongside the claims of strikes and counterstrikes, the transcript contains an explicit Iranian warning about retaliation if civilian targets are hit. It attributes a statement to the Iranian military promising a multiplied response if attacks on civilian objectives continue. Iranian military, we have stated from the very beginning that any aggression targeting civilian objectives would be met with a decisive multiplied response against the enemy's interest in any part of the entire region. If attacks on civilian targets are repeated, the next phases of our offensive and retaliatory operations will be carried out much more devastatingly and widely, and the losses and damages from persisting in this approach will be multiplied. Such language is designed to deter attacks on infrastructure and population centers by raising the cost of escalation. But it also sets the stage for broader retaliation potentially beyond the immediate battlefield by explicitly referencing any part of the entire region. That phrasing can be read as a warning that allied or partner states and commercial interests such as shipping, energy facilities, and transport corridors could be pulled into the conflict. Those fears are already visible in the Gulf. The transcript says Saudi Arabia closed the only road linking it to Bahrain after Iran fired missiles at the kingdom's oil-rich eastern province. The route referenced appears to point to the King Fahd Causeway, the critical link between Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. Any disruption there would be a stark indicator of heightened threat perceptions, given the causeway's importance for commerce and movement. The transcript also says Saudi officials fear that if U.S. President Donald Trump attacks Iranian civilian infrastructure, the Iran could target the bridge connecting the two kingdoms. It adds that Riyadh claimed to have shot down more than a dozen missiles and drones over eastern regions, and that heavy fire was reported from an industrial facility in Jubail, an area known for major industrial and petrochemical installations. These claims, too, would require independent confirmation, but they reflect a central reality. The Gulf's energy and industrial nodes are among the most sensitive targets in any Iran-linked escalation. In Iran, the possibility of attacks on power generation and national infrastructure is also being used to mobilize public sentiment. The transcript describes an Iranian official, identified as Rahim, urging young people to form human chains around power plants in anticipation of potential U.S. strikes. The call is framed as a civic action meant to deter attacks by raising the political and moral cost of hitting infrastructure that supports civilian life. That appeal is paired in the transcript with remarks attributed to President Trump, who is shown responding to a question about whether civilian infrastructure, power plants, and bridges could be targeted. Donald Trump, very little is off limits, and later in a longer passage, he describes the scale of potential U.S. military capability while arguing he does not want to destroy Iran's infrastructure. Donald Trump, I don't want to tell you that we have a plan because of the power of our military where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean complete demolition by 12. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. We don't want that to happen. Those remarks, if accurately quoted and placed in context, underscore the precariousness of the moment. The threat of overwhelming force is being aired publicly, even as officials signal they would prefer not to cross that line. The second half of this story will look at what escalation toward infrastructure warfare could mean for civilians across the region, how Gulf states are positioning themselves amid competing pressures, and what the emerging military tactics, missile saturation, drone strikes, and attacks on.